Welcome to the She's on Top podcast. This is a place where we talk to inspiring women and share their stories. Hi, I'm Jessica.
And I'm Tracy, and we are your hosts. What does it mean to be a woman in today's world? What does success look like? What does it feel like? Is there one definition?
We talk to women entrepreneurs and change makers about their ups and downs, their triumphs and failures, and how they define success.
We believe every woman has a unique value and a story worth telling, and it's our great joy to share these stories with you.
Tracy and I just finished up our first season of She's on Top podcast, and it's been amazing. We've loved sharing these stories of women entrepreneurs and change makers. And we thought maybe the best way to end the first season was to share our own story and how we started on this journey ourselves. So you get to know a little bit more about us.
Yeah, Jessica and I have been friends for a very long time. I'm originally from England, and when I came to Toronto, she was actually one of my first friends. She was a bridesmaid at my wedding, and we've had a beautiful friendship over 35 years. We lost track for a little bit of our friendship, but then we reconnected at a coffee shop one day when Jessica told me about an idea she had for a digital show, and we decided that we would go down that path and start working together. And that's how we launched our first business, Easy TV. Jess, you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, it was interesting because I had finished up a 20-year career in television and decided that digital was the way to go, but I knew nothing about digital. And neither did Tracy. So we thought, well, this is perfect. Two people who know nothing should really start a digital channel together.
It's true. Two people who literally know nothing.
So our first, my first idea, because you go from experience, that I pitched to Tracy was Easy TV. And the idea was, I knew that YouTube was like how-to and humor. How-to videos were very popular and humor was popular. So I had in my 20s, I did improv and comedy. So I had some really good friends who were experienced in that field. And I'd also shot a lot of television that was design and lifestyle. So I thought, wouldn't it be great if you could take these amazing people who understood design and lifestyle, had experts, which I had access to, and have them teach it to somebody who was funny and didn't know anything. So that was our first idea. We basically did how-to videos and cooking and design, and we had them teach Albert, who's a comedian, how to do things because he knew nothing. So we started off doing that, and it's been okay. Actually, one of our videos has nearly 1 million views, doesn't it, Trace?
Yeah, no, it's amazing. It was so fun doing it. I mean, we would howl with laughter as we shot the videos. And we were also so naive. I mean, it's just been a really interesting journey. And that's why we love listening to other people's journeys, because we thought, we'll launch these videos and we'll get, millions of views. And it was hard, but we learned so much from doing that channel. The channel is still up there. And as Jess says, some of our videos have almost 1 million views, which is fantastic. But the beautiful thing about it is through the mistakes that we made and through the learning process of Easy TV, it got us to where we are in She's on Top.
It's so true. And the way She's on Top came about was when we decided that, to try again and try a second channel and take kind of what we learned and move it forward. We did some research about YouTube, and we were surprised to find out that they said one of the most common thing researched on YouTube by women was business advice. So Tracy's idea and I's idea was, why don't we talk to women who are successful YouTubers and find out how they created a channel, which is what we did. And that was really amazing. And then it kind of morphed into women entrepreneurs. And when we got into this conversation with women entrepreneurs, we just started to learn so much, and it became a bigger, more in-depth conversation. Rather than how-to, they talked about their struggles between, being an entrepreneur, imposter syndrome. Some of them had become successful and found out that it hadn't made them happy. So it's been a real learning process for us. And, Tracy and I thought it might be fun today to actually interview each other a little bit about this entrepreneurial journey.
Yes, and I have to say too that some of the women we met were so generous and so kind, and it was so great to learn about other people's journeys, because I think one of the purposes of She's on Top is to show people that there's no one way to do anything, and to empower women to be the best that they can be. And through this journey of She's on Top and the women we've met, it's been so eye-opening, hopefully for other people, but especially for us. So just my first question to you is, what is one of maybe your favorite entrepreneurs that we've interviewed? And we love everybody, just so you know, but do you have like a favorite out there?
You beat me to it. That's so funny. That's such a good question. I do. I wouldn't say I have a favorite entrepreneur. I would say I have a takeaway that really stuck with me, and it's for personal reasons. And I've used it a few times, and it's Julie Cole, who I adore, one of the second or third woman we interviewed. Julie Cole is the founder of Mabel's Labels, which is just a huge company in Toronto. It's they make labels for everything, but a lot of the women I know use them to make labels for their kids' camp clothing and stuff like that. So they grew this company, started it off in their basement, 4 women, and then grew it and then sold it for, I think it was $12 million. It may be a different figure. Anyways, she's just a joy to talk to. And one of the things that she said, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, get comfortable being uncomfortable. And I love that quote for so many reasons. First of all, it's been very true. And secondly, I feel like it's a quote for life. If you want to grow in life, whether you want to grow a business, you want to grow personally, it's like, get comfortable being uncomfortable. Because I think all the struggles, whether they're financial, whether they're personal with your family or whatever, they all involve discomfort. If you can manage discomfort, I kind of feel like the world's your oyster.
I totally agree. That was a very powerful interview, and we love Julie. She's a part of our membership and part of our community, and a huge supporter of She's on Top. But it is true, like, we struggle all the time with being uncomfortable. Being an entrepreneur is it's a difficult journey. It's a really rewarding journey, but you have to be prepared to get out of your comfort zone. And there are mornings or days when Jess and I speak with each other, and we're like, whoa, this is really hard. And even have your doubts, like, why are we doing this? And how are we going to be successful? So you really have to struggle, but I think it gives you the muscle to grow in your personal life as well, with all those situations that are really uncomfortable. So that interview sticks out for me as being, one of my, I wouldn't say favorite, but definitely learned so much from Julie, and also just perseverance and how it's not an easy journey. Like you said, they started out in their basement. Julie has 6 children, and she was balancing motherhood and work. And while sometimes we look at these women as super women, and it can be intimidating, Julie doesn't make you feel that it's intimidating, because she's open about the hard work and the struggle and the difficult days. And I think that's key.
I love that. And I want to pick up on what you said. So as far as struggle goes, when we started, you had 1 child in school and you had 2 living at home, and you'd been a single mom for a while. And I know there was a struggle around home and work life. How did you learn to balance that? Like, what would you say, Trace, to moms or single moms who want to start a business?
Okay, well, it definitely was a struggle. We had some very difficult times. I think that for me, it has been about boundaries. And I go see a therapist. Jessica and I actually see the same person. And I think the key to it is just having boundaries, and realizing too that sometimes you just have to do what you want to do if you feel it's right for yourself. And if people around you aren't good with that, then you have to do it anyway. But what happens is that they end up growing too. And I think, especially as a mother, I think if your children see that you struggle, or see that you're working hard, or see that you're standing up for yourself, they may not like it and they may push back, but that may give them the courage to do the same for themselves. So I think that's the advice. And I think as mothers, the guilt is a big thing. And I was in a podcast last week talking about guilt, and the guilt of, trying to balance being a mother and being good at your job too. But you have to put yourself first. It sounds very selfish, but if you put yourself first, you're teaching your children to also put themselves first in a good way.
I absolutely love that. It reminds me of Julie Cole when she wrote that article. Basically, in order to do what she did, she said she had to leave guilt at the door.
Yeah, absolutely.
Are you a woman entrepreneur looking to grow your business?
Would you benefit from being connected with a highly engaged group of women entrepreneurs invested in your success?
Then we'd love you to join our community.
Here you can collaborate, network, cross-promote, and feel supported, whether it's a free expert workshop or one of our fun events like our monthly hikes.
You can find all the details on membership in the notes, or you can go to our website at she'sontop.com.
So I have another question for you. So what has been you talk about being uncomfortable. What has been most uncomfortable about working with She's on Top?
I would say it's finance. I would say that's been the biggest struggle for me, that you have to, a lot of this takes faith, you have to, like I knew when we started this business, it was like, okay, I'm going to use my savings to start it. I might have to, get a second mortgage on my home. There's a lot of what ifs, and that I would say has been the biggest struggle, which is to it takes a certain amount of faith, and we didn't really have a business plan. And so I would say that it's worked out, and finally the further along that we go, the easier it gets. And I thought it would be the opposite, but that's what I would say. It's just managing the discomfort of the not knowing when you start with a new business. It really takes a lot of faith, because they say it takes 3 to 5 years before you make money. And we've been lucky that we started a membership and things have really worked out for us in different ways. But I would say that's the area that was the most uncomfortable for me.
Yeah, that's been a struggle for me too, absolutely. And I think finances are always a big struggle. I think a struggle for me too was just putting myself out there. Like originally, I didn't want to be on camera. And so that was challenging, I've always been behind the camera. And it's also the perception part too. Like you talk about the finances, when people say to you, are you making money yet? And you can feel like a bit of a failure if you're not right off the top. So I think actually it all comes to caring about what other people think, whether it's me being in front of a camera or how successful I am. That's been my struggle, is not to care and to do what I feel is right. So I think, that's a big struggle.
I love that, because it's like what we're trying to do with the membership, which is support each other in defining success for ourselves, whatever that is, because it's not one thing. It doesn't.
It's not one thing. And I actually think this is a really important point, because we ask all the women that we interview, what the definition of success is. And it's really, most people would look at how much money you're making, and things like that, how big your company's grown. But, I don't know about you, Jessica, but I feel hugely successful. I love what we're doing. I love the women we're speaking to, and the membership is bringing us so much joy. And the podcast, I'm loving the podcast. And so I feel hugely successful. We're just now starting to make a little bit of money, but I'm not tying it to that money part. And I really try not to care about what other people's definition of success is, and just focus on, is this bringing me joy? Is this bringing me happiness?
Yeah, I would say the same thing. I would say I've loved it, because where we started and what it is now is not something that I could ever imagine. And I love it. So it's been so fun adapting. And we started off making documentary videos and being storytellers, which we love and we would like to do again one day. Then, now we're doing a podcast, which is something we never imagined. And I like it just as much, as not more, maybe because nobody has to see me on camera. I'm not sure, but I really, really love that. So I have, my next question for you is, you and I have been in partnership for 7 years. So what have you learned about business partnership?
Actually, it's actually very simple. I think our business partnership is wonderful, because it's another strong relationship that allows you to grow. And we've definitely had our challenges. We've had days where we've laughed our heads off. Mm-hmm. We've flown out east to shoot videos. We've, oh my goodness, we've walked in the freezing cold up to the library because it was the only place we could find to work that didn't cost us a lot of money. We've had our struggles too, but we've grown so much. And I feel very lucky to have a partnership. I think it's hard to do it on your own, and to find somebody that you can be a partner with. I think you're truly blessed. And, I love it. I feel like this relationship is it's like a marriage, right? You have a partner in your life and you have, your friends, but this is an incredible, incredible relationship.
Yeah, I feel the same way. And I think it's even more significant for me because, you have been in a marriage, you've had a significant other through this whole journey. This is actually, in a way, the longest partnership outside of family that I've had. And I have learned so much. It's been 7 years. And as we said, you and I have always had enormous respect for each other, which I think works. You and I are both people who are very highly accountable. We both go to therapy, and when we've had struggles, we go in to find out what is it that I am doing as opposed to blaming the other. But, whether you go through any partnership, if you're married, children come into it or things happen and it changes. And for us, we've had so many ups and downs, and to stay with that person through the process has been amazing for me. And to watch somebody else's growth and to be able to, we've changed from who we were originally, and to be able to adapt and still be together, and I actually think be stronger, is going to serve me in other areas of my life in a way that I couldn't imagine.
Yes, it really has been beautiful. It really has been a beautiful journey. And when you say 7 years, I realize, wow, it's been 7 years. They say, what is it, like 7 years itch? So hopefully this continues for another 7 years. But it really has been an amazing journey. So I have another question for you. So what is like one thing, you talk about the partnership, but what is one thing that you didn't expect out of this journey so far, like being an entrepreneur?
What didn't I expect? Oh, I have to think about that for a second. Oh, it's funny. I'm just trying to think about it, like off the top, what didn't expect. I don't, in some ways I thought I didn't expect anything. I was like, I would say that's advice is like, don't have any expectations because they'll all go right out the window. Like I sometimes think to myself, my God, if somebody had presented a crystal ball at the beginning of this and said, 7 years later, you'll be here, and said, you'll have this new channel dealing with women, and you and I'll be doing a podcast, I would have been like, have you lost your mind? Like, what's going on? I couldn't have imagined. And I think about you and I, we always joke about this, but two middle-aged women Luddites, really. I mean, when we started, we couldn't even tweet. And you were talking about it the other day, the amount of things that have just become normal for us as far as, technology, all the things that we've had to do in terms of, writing a newsletter, a podcast, doing videos, so many things, all the technical stuff that you've had to learn because you were actually shooting the videos, you do the technical part of even doing the podcast. And what I love is it's like, you can do anything. If you want to do it, you can do it. So I would say that's what I didn't expect. I feel a lot more limitless than I did when I started.
Well, it's funny you should say that because as you're talking, it brings up a conversation we had with one of our members a few weeks ago, Dolores. And she was saying, you guys should do speaking engagements. You guys are experts. And somebody else mentioned that too. I think Jennifer Lyle, another one of our members, mentioned you guys are experts. I'm like, but experts on what? What are they? We don't know anything. But it's funny because I had a conversation with somebody I know wants to put together a YouTube channel, and they called me for some advice. And after an hour later, after I'd given him all this advice and told him all this stuff I was going to send him, I'm like, oh, hold on. I think I'm an expert on YouTube. So, it's amazing. And I think maybe that's what I didn't expect, like how much I've grown, how much I've actually learned. And some of the skills, like you said, I had to teach myself how to do audio when we were shooting the videos. I'd never done that before. How to talk in front of a camera, now I know everything about podcasts. But it is amazing, right? I didn't expect that I would learn as much. That was really fascinating for me.
So this is perfect leading to my next question. So you just talked about all the skills you've learned. What have you learned about yourself?
What have I learned about myself? Oh my goodness, so many things. I've learned that sometimes I'm a bit scared to do things, but then if I actually, psych myself up and do it, it's really not that difficult. Like I really was nervous, like I said, for example, to do the audio. We used to shoot with a crew. And then when we did She's on Top, we would do it ourselves. And that was really scary. And then it became really easy. I was terrified about going in front of the camera and, ended up doing that. And, initially I was actually against a podcast. Like, no, we shouldn't do a podcast. And now we love it. So what was the question again?
What you've learned about yourself. It's actually perfect because what I'm hearing you say, which is what I would agree with, is sometimes that our idea of who we actually are may not be true.
Yes, that's it. And so thank you so much for saying that. So I think that's exactly what I've learned, that I do get a little bit scared and I have to do it. But when I push myself, I think we can do it. It's like you said, Jess, we really can do anything. Well, what about you?
Yeah, I would say just what I said before, that to not hold on to the idea of who I am, because
Mm-hmm.
maybe there's something more. And to be like, when it shows up, it's like I always go back to my improv training to say yes and, because sometimes, with all my jobs, even in TV, people would show up and offer me things before that I thought I was ready or had experience. And I always said yes and thought I'll figure it out. And sometimes people see in you what you don't see in yourself. And so there's so many areas of my life where I feel sort of like, oh, so I love this because it's kind of like I'm learning about myself, and that I'm super grateful for that.
Yeah, I actually going to add one point to that. So I actually study under a guru who is in Malaysia, and we take all these different courses. And one thing we're learning right now is that we don't really know who we are. And often we define ourselves by how other people see us. So we see ourselves as a mother or a business partner or a girlfriend or a boyfriend or an employee. And yes, you are that, but you're not only that. And when you can stop defining yourself by how others see you, that's a beautiful thing. And I think that's the journey that I've gone through with She's on Top, is I didn't see myself as somebody who's in front of a camera. I didn't see myself as a lot of different things. And it was hard to step out of that. Like, who am I that I can do this? And that's how you learn who you are.
I think that's a really, in a way, beautiful point to kind of maybe wrap up with, because it just twigged me, and I thought, and that's, I think, and you can say what you feel, but I think if I was to hold what I would want for this community, for this membership or whatever, is to give that gift back to the other women entrepreneurs, which is like hold the space that they can learn about themselves, just the way we don't want to hold a rigid idea of who we are. If we can hold a bigger space for who they are, so they get to grow, and you can support them, that would be the dream for me for this community.
Oh my God, Jess, you said it so beautifully. I couldn't say it any better myself. I would just add, we joke about, being grateful, but we are so grateful for this community. I mean, we have learned so much from all the women we've interviewed in our videos, through our podcasts, and they're also generous with their time. They help promote our shows. The members, especially the initial members who showed up when we really didn't have anything, and they just signed up out of faith. And you just said it beautifully. Like, I've just learned so much from everybody and this whole community. It's been an amazing journey, and I hope the journey continues for many, many years. Another 7.
Yeah. Well, that's a wrap for season 1. We've had so much fun talking to all these amazing women entrepreneurs and change makers. It's been a huge privilege. And it was really fun to talk to one of my favorite entrepreneurs and change makers, which is you, Trace.
Thank you so much. And we really look forward to connecting with you guys in the fall. We have some amazing women lined up, and stay tuned for their stories.
See you in September. If you enjoyed this podcast, we'd be grateful if you'd take a moment to rate it and write a quick review, because that helps us get found. And of course, we'd love it if you subscribe.
To learn more about us and our amazing community, go to our website and sign up for our newsletter. And you can also follow us on Instagram at she's_on_top.
Thanks for listening.